I don't think I know anything, Johnny interrupted. I heard you and Clarence talking about moving her body. Mangle and Clarence exchanged confused glances. Whose body? Clarence asked. Rakia, Johnny said. You moved her from down by the river, and then you moved her out of the coffin in the crawlspace of the Granville house. Don't deny it. Mangle exhaled and looked down. Very well. Act nicht. I won't. You buried her here, Johnny shouted. That's what Ben was looking for, and you shot him because of it. Mangle held up his hand. Enough, he said. He walked directly up to Johnny and scowled down at him. Then he continued past him to the edge of the clearing. A clump of low-hanging tree buds butted up against a boulder. Mangle pulled one of the branches back, revealing a lean-to hidden behind it. It was dark inside and impossible to see what lay within. Rakia is right here, he said. You may as well see her since you know all about her. Johnny swallowed, stood, walked boldly over to Mangle and peered into the darkness of leaning to. A powerful, pungent, stinging odor assaulted his nostrils. He had smelled it before, and he knew where. He looked back at Mr. Warner. It was the day at the drugstore. Johnny turned back to the interior of the lean-to and waited for his eyes to adjust to the dark. In the back of the makeshift room stood a large metal tub. A long copper tube wound out from it. Beneath the tub, a small fire burned. It's a still, Mangle said. We brew moonshine here, moonshine liquor. And I just cannot hold on to this accent. Even though I have a terrible German accent, I can't hold on to at least the terrible German accent that I've mustered. So, sorry. Okay, where was I? Johnny stepped back, confused. So, Rakia's not here? He asked. Mangle shook his head. Nein, she is. My wife comes from Bulgaria. Rakia is the name of the liquor they brew. Frida knew the recipe and how to make it. Her family had a still while she was growing up. Rakia sells well here. But moonshine's illegal, isn't it? It shouldn't be, said Mr. Warner bitterly. Prohibition was repealed years ago, but the senators here in North Carolina think they know better. Tain't right. I sell it to make money on the side, Mangle said. My son's medical bills are, expensive. More than a professor's salary can carry. Johnny's face reddened. I'm sorry, Professor Mangle. I should have known you wouldn't. Nein. How could you know? I might have thought the same thing myself. So, this is what those symbols mean? The pointy hat in front of the Granville house and the two head of the trail leading back here? Hobo code, Mangle explained. The first one means that you can get liquor where the arrow points. the two together mean that this place is where you can get it. It's over now, Mangle continued. The sheriff will shut us down, probably arrest us, and if the doctor doesn't get here soon... Just then Clarence cried out, "Ben!" Johnny's heart sank. He couldn't breathe. His worst fear had happened. Ben had died, and he had been unable to help him. He bowed his head, but Clarence wasn't upset. He was happy. "Ben! You're all right! Talk to me, boy!" Johnny's head darted up. Ben was moving. He slowly sat up, looked at Clarence, and said, "Pops, so I guess right. You are here. When I heard about Rika..." Clarence laughed, holding Ben tight. "You know me." What was that? No. My voices are all over the place today. "You know me. Never one to be far away from Spirit." "What happened?" Ben asked. "I shot you. Sorry about that. I meant to hit that tree yonder. You always was a lousy shot. But I ain't shot. Least, I don't think so." Clarence hugged Ben long and hard. "Thank God you're all right," Clarence said. When they broke apart, Ben pulled away Warner's coat and the cloth with it and tossed them aside. Warner stood over Ben, scratching his scruffy whiskers. "Makes no sense," Warner said. "You were bleeding like a stuck pig." Just then Doc Willis and Emmy crashed through the trees and into the clearing. "Someone has been shot?" the doctor asked. Mangle pointed to Ben. "This man here," he said. "At least we thought so." He looked at Johnny curiously. He crumbled down soon as I fired," Clarence said. "Shot him in the back, or so I thought." The doctor inspected the back of Ben's shirt. A bullet hole. He then inspected Ben's back where the bullet would have entered. Nothing. "Well, there's a hole in the shirt, all right," the doctor said. But it must not have come from the bullet. There's no wound in sight. "We found him, lying face down," said Emmy, still breathless from running for the doctor. "He was bleeding from his chest." "Might he have punctured his chest on a rock when he fell?" Mangle suggested. "Let's see," the doctor said. He lifted Ben's shirt to inspect the chest. "I don't know what to tell you, but there's no wound on his chest either. I can't see any place where the blood would have come from." Clarence heaved a sigh of relief. "Praise be!" he shouted. "He must have tripped and knocked himself out when he fell. I didn't shoot him after all. Son, maybe my aim is improving." Ben smiled and said, "Well, wouldn't that be a miracle?" Emmy scowled. "But there's blood